Rex had become quite well known in the bustling city of Mesilla, albeit by a different name. To the Roman occupiers he was known as a mysterious mercenary working for Governor Maximus, despite there being many other far more reputable groups available for hire. To the people he was the champion of the arena, showered in praises and coin enough for him to even buy up some land in the city. But his penchant for coin was not the only thing keeping him in the wealthy metropolis. As Rex entered a familiar tavern, cheers were whipped up by Eadfrith for the second-time winner of the gladiatorial bouts. Congratulations, salutes and offers of drinks besieged Rex at his table for many hours, where he dutifully told the same story of the wandering blade Erland, and how he was gifted his skill at arms by a wise old mystic, brandishing Drunwyn, the sword of the righteous flame. Bagadatta may have had some role to play in crafting that latter part, but once it was out there it had to be repeated for everything to be believed. As the night wore on and the crowds thinned out, Rex saw Elfwyn, the tavern maid, watching him from across the room. In the wink of an eye, Rex was up on his feet and skirting between the evening's count of upturned tables and writhing drunks to reach her. "You fought well today, champion," she said with a smile. Dazzled by her beauty, Rex completely forgot what he had been reliably advised to say. Bagadatta was on hand to take up the slack. "He fought with the spirit of the first lion of Mesilla because he knew what he had to do. He needed to win a victory worthy of dedication to you, the celestial Night Maiden." Rex was drunk enough that this all seemed highly romantic. "May I kiss the hand of my chosen idol?" he asked, glancing over at Bagadatta, who was withdrawing with a wide grin. "After every woman who came in here kissed you already, paid or not, I couldn't be less chosen, oh champion." "Oh, no, that was all my manager's idea. He wanted... I mean, none of that meant anything. I'm really, maybe I'll be more favoured on another night. Good morning to you." With that, Rex suffered a defeat so resounding that he almost forgot to let Governor Maximus win when they came up against each other in the next tournament. Hello and welcome back to Rex Romanum. Tournament season is continuing in Mesilla. After winning the first couple of tournaments, I invested my money into a business, so now we should be making a decent profit even with a fair few guards in our party. I went on to win another tournament, didn't make much money this time, I think because I didn't actually bet very much on myself. I then participated in the next tournament after that and got absolutely annihilated in the first round. I was hit by a javelin and a spear in quick succession, some bad blocking there, so just didn't participate. And after that I thought, well, let's go anyway, because we're supposed to be doing something else. We need to go and take down another bandit base for Lunius Maximus, and at this point that will actually make us more money than fighting in the tournament, especially when you factor in that over by the bandit base there are little parties like this, some thieves and murderers. We can easily outnumber them, and we've got better equipment too, so we're just coming in for a nice easy win to pick up loot. This is another classic battle where I barely achieve anything. I go in to try and attack the enemy and don't do very well at all, but as I've said before, this still has some effect in that lots of troops are running around in circles looking at me just making a fool of myself, and at the same time my infantry charge down off the hill and can easily take them all out. So we do win with negative casualties in that I took some prisoners off them to expand my party a little bit. After that I thought, let's just go and do the hideout battle. Can't be bothered to go chasing around all these small other parties that are left around the place. Another case where we just need a small team to come in and hack one by one through a bunch of respawning enemies. At first I was trying to stay back from the two caves where the enemies respawn, and indeed there they are respawning right in front of us. I think it might actually be better to be right next to where the enemy respawns so you can attack them immediately, since in this setup they spawn and then start shooting you at range and you have to risk getting hit a few times before you can take them out. The fight continues on now. I'm progressing towards the end. I've lost most of my health, and I'd lost my shield at one point, but I picked up a bandit shield to fight on. The problem I had here was that I have only a couple of companions left, I'm bleeding out, so we've only got a bit of time left, and the enemy is still annoyingly spawning behind me. We saw for a flash there that that enemy was also carrying Dwynrin, that legendary sword. These bandits can spawn with this legendary sword sometimes, so I guess there's more than one out there. Anyway, now there was just one more enemy I had to get a move on because I'm about to fall unconscious from blood loss. I ordered Oliver to go in and distract the enemy. I came in and took him out, and there we go, we just about won. Loads of loot to be had, we'll make tons of money off that, plus we can now go hand in the quest and make a load more money. At this stage it's time to move on from Mesilla and head to other shores, and there was one easy method of doing so from Mesilla itself. However, it required a lot more money than I was likely to make hanging around here, so I ended up pulling another perhaps someone gives us a gift style move. Rex's band could march easy down the main road to Mesilla, being that it was guarded by hundreds of Roman troops along a stretch so close to the Italian border. The roads further afield didn't enjoy that protection, but thanks to his most recent victories, that was a less pressing concern. Lunius Maximus happened to be leading the patrol that hailed Rex as he came into sight of the city, and they went to sit together while their troops lit fires and exchanged their war tales. "You truly are a useful man to have around, Erland, but I fear that is not all you are," Lunius said, passing Rex a heavily spiced wine. "I wanted to keep you around longer, but there are so many complications to it, you see." Rex did not see, as was evident by his face. Lunius continued, "You are very popular. I hear things about you coming in from very far away. Some of them come from such strange places that I'm not even permitted to tell you about them." "Okay," Rex uttered, wondering how quickly he could scramble over the bushes behind him and disappear into the night if needs be. "Let's put things in a more straightforward way. This needn't be about you at all. You see, your troops are fairly obviously the property of the Emperor. While they have done good work, they are violating the law by following you, and you are violating the law by imploring them to do so." "It's fine, really, I will disband the company at once," Rex blurted out. Lunius laughed and bade him to relax. "I want you to listen carefully to exactly what I'm saying here, and think about it more after I have left. Your troops are wanted in high places, for reasons good and bad, but many people think it would not be suitable to allow such criminals to serve the Empire any longer. Knowledge of this conflict spreads in the city, and to the cities with which we exchange goods and so on. Therefore, certain lives are at risk here. In order to preserve good order all around, you, all of you, must leave Mesilla. And you must leave in such a fashion that none are aware that I instructed you to leave. Does that make sense to you?" Rex nodded and passed back the jug of wine, no lighter for its time in his hands. Lunius exchanged it for a scrap of paper with a list of directions on it. "Consider this a favour to repay if you ever happen upon power. There is a boat there. All of you will leave and never return. Go where you like, but don't go to Rome. You wouldn't last a moment there anyway, would you, Rex?" Yes, I dealt with my mid-game crisis by buying myself a boat, or having the Romans give me one, to be more accurate. Now that we own this ship, we can pass over the sea. That allows us to go back down to Carthago the quick way, and that's really the only advantage it will gain us for now. Once we get there, I thought we might be able to dock in Carthage, but it's not that simple. There's seemingly arbitrary decisions about whether each port city has a dock that you can land at, so Carthage, despite being a famous port city, doesn't allow you to dock there, but after a while I realised we can just land next to it and get out, and that's going to have just about the same effect. So we are now in Africa once again. I spoke to the tournament master in Carthage, and he tells me there's a tournament in Midi, which is the next town over to the west, although it is quite far away because the African towns are very spread out. So after a very long walk, we arrive to find the tournament isn't going on anymore, so that sucks. I thought since I'm down here I might as well pick up a quest or something, and I was able to find the faction leader of the Gaetulians. Thought we might as well get in with this guy just a little bit. He gave me one of the bounty hunting quests where you just have to go and hunt down a guy. That's a nice easy way to get some reputation. We go to the village to the north, find the guy pretty quickly, and here he is, half naked, knifing me up. I'm using my shield to avoid damage. I was hoping Eadfrith might help me out here. He took his time about it, but eventually he decided this guy was a threat. Good guarding from him. Now we go back to meet the faction leader again and hand it in, and with these quests you have the option to not take the small amount of money you can get as a reward in order to get honour and additional reputation essentially, and we'll do that because we don't really need that money. With that done, our little stay in Midi is now over. We need to move on and find a new tournament and go to somewhere new as well, just for the fun of it. The next town over to the east is also pretty far away. You can see there are loads of just villages and open spaces, but eventually you can come across Cyrene over here, so I'm going to sail there. It's not as easy as just clicking on it like it is with walking, because the boat always goes in a straight line even if there's land in the way, so it keeps challenging you to land on everything you're hitting. Eventually though, we get around that little peninsula and we can carry on. I then saw some pirates and thought let's try a naval battle against them. But in this mod, naval battles, broadly speaking, are extremely glitchy and just don't really work. We saw before one of the naval battles sent me flying across the entire world. This time our party was split between two ships. One ship fought the enemy and our ship didn't, and even that took about 5 minutes. I compressed that down, but it was 5 minutes of waiting for the ships to close with each other and start fighting. We did lose some men, but I was able to get them back through prisoner rescues. I eventually arrive at Cyrene, but here, for some reason, I can't land. I believe the colour of the water indicates whether you can land somewhere or not. Next to Carthage, the water was slightly brighter, and here we just can't land anywhere really along all of the nearby coast. I eventually got frustrated by this and tried this little trick. We can just teleport onto land, and the ship logic luckily does interpret that as landing the ship. So there we go, we're on land, we found somewhere to get off the boat, and now we can go to Cyrene. Things are pretty quiet around here, so we're going to end up taking a little bit of a holiday really before we head out to the much more boisterous east. Outside the inn that Rex's company had all but taken over, Agasicles caught up to Rex and Eliver just as they were about to set off to the governor's estate.
Wait a second, I thought you were joking. You can't take Eliver away from me.
That was the deal I made. The Roman will pay us, and him, very generously for his services, Rex said, looking over at Eliver, who wasn't paying the conversation any heed.
What? I don't understand. What do they want with my secretary?
The governor asked for him by name, said he was a talented man.
He's not thinking of starting a career in engineering, is he? Can't imagine what this is about.
The thought of asking Eliver to explain his own view on the matter came and went. Eliver was as silent now as he would have been had anyone tried to inquire.
Come with us and perhaps the governor will let you know. It's not dangerous work, he said, and he's really not holding back on the money.
Did somebody say money? Titus Pullo said, arriving beside the group with 2 amphorae in a wheelbarrow, pushed jointly with a pale-faced Clodolf.
Ah, because you've spent it all, is that it?
Agasicles sneered, leaving to join Eliver as he walked off down the road of his own accord.
Cyrenian mead. This will fetch a fine price in Iberia, you know. Little tip from me to you. Guessing you want me to take it there since you've already bought it.
That would be very smart of you, sir. Heard we're hanging around the city for a bit, so might as well ply what can be plied and all that. Make a little coin. Don't really know what you're talking about, but I do want to make some coin. Then lift the anchor, my captain. I'll point you to the plumpest trades in the Western Med. Pullo grinned at Rex and slapped Clodolf on the back, prompting the priest to spew out a disagreeable free sample of that apparently sought-after Cyrenian mead. we've got a week before we can pick Oliver up again from his mysterious mission in Cyrene, so we might as well pass the time with a bit of a trip. We can go and try to make some money peacefully by trading between the major cities. I sailed over first to Carthago Nova, and at any city you can do this thing. If you have someone who's good at trading in your party, it will tell you what to buy and where to sell it to make a load of money. The problem is, the cities in this mod are so far apart that many of these trade routes it's suggesting are quite difficult to actually do. And there's not that much stuff in stock for us to sell, so it wouldn't be that profitable anyway. I did go on to Toletum, which was the place I needed to sell that ale I was given, and I did make a decent amount of money, maybe a few hundred doing this little route, but nothing special. Gonna spend a decent portion of that money on this bard who wants to spread around a new song about Rex, which is always good to hear, so we'll throw money at that. Got some more intel on where to go next. Wool was the best thing to buy, so I bought a load, and I think I took it down to Carthage to sell it, making a bit more money. In Carthage, I got some intel from the tournament master that Midi was having another tournament, and I thought we might as well try and go to it. There's a problem though. I'd completely forgotten that I'd signed on with Roman Hispania as a mercenary, just to steal some money from them. I didn't intend to actually do anything. But they're at war with the Gaetulians, meaning we're attacked on the way to Midi. 74 men come to face our 65, and we're in potentially a bit of trouble. I form out quickly on the side of a sand dune, but the enemy are attacking right away, so these camels and cav are arriving before we can form up. I decided to charge over and just cause a bit of a ruckus so they wouldn't charge into our men before they'd got into a line. I managed to kill one, then get myself surrounded, but miraculously managed to escape. My archers can now hit the enemy as they slowly pursue me up this hill. That's probably going to do quite a lot of damage. I'm going to sneak through this gap to get behind the shield wall, and now the fighting can start. These camels and cav aren't numerous enough or fast enough to overwhelm our lines, so we'll quickly take them out. Most importantly, taking them out before any infantry arrive to capitalize on the disruption to our formation. There we have it then, those cav and camels are down. My horse is taken out by blood loss as well. I had a wound from that fighting, so now I'm on foot, ready to face the enemy infantry as they arrive. They arrived in two big waves. The first wave was a load of light infantry. I say a load, we vastly outnumber them, and because we have a shield wall, them throwing their javelins and the like doesn't do all that much. Once they come into fight with sword and shield, it's not going to do much either, because our guys are better in melee, and Rex is going around just attacking all these distracted enemies and taking them out easily. So we've held our position. That guy was particularly the focus of the enemy's attacks apparently, and now the last section of the enemy army arrives. This time it's their heavier infantry advancing with a shield wall, so our archers aren't going to do that much. But we can surround them because they're in a block, so I order an attack, and now we'll try and hit this block from behind. There was a mass rout, it seems, just as the fight started, but this almost took me by surprise because those guys who routed came back for a few extra blows once I turned my back to them. This guy's really going at me, but we take him down, and at the same time our troops have overwhelmed what remains of the enemy. So now we just pursue the rest of them off the field, using our companions as cavalry to get rid of them, and it's actually a resounding victory. I think we only had 3 killed, and we took out the entire enemy party. A very good battle overall, which I didn't actually expect. We'll take a load of loot and some prisoners to make some money off this ordeal. Things actually went so well that I spent a couple of days chasing around other Gaetulian parties. They had loads of really small parties that we would be able to beat in melee, but to cut a long story short, I was never actually able to catch up with any of them. They were all quite fast, and I eventually gave up on that and came back to Carthage to report my victory over that one guy to our leader in Roman Hispania. They've got a very swanky place here, as you can see. And this guy, Marcianus, is so impressed with our feats that he actually offers us a top secret mission to go back to Midi to pick up a spy report. Rex cursed his own greed as he unstrapped his armour and covered up his blazing red hair. The Romans hadn't forgot about the champion Erland being on their payroll after all, and now his fame in single combat was being used as an excuse to put him right at the business end of the Roman spy network. In the dark of night, he left his hidden camp near the desert metropolis of Midi, accompanied only by Eadfrith, his translator. Midi was a regular venue on the gladiatorial circuit, so rich and dedicated fans like Eadfrith had been forced to learn at least enough words to get into the city. The guards were convinced of the pair's intentions when Eadfrith showed them a collection of broken entry tokens to previous tournaments, but were quick to inform them that they had missed the tournament by a good week. They staged a loud Gaelic tiff over watering the camels for too long, and eventually seemed non-Roman enough to be allowed into the market. That was the easy part. Now they had to identify the Roman spy somewhere in the city, using a secret question and answer system. There were tens of thousands of people there, and every question asked would raise alarm. After all, the question was, would you like to buy any fine Byzantine tapestries, to be suspiciously asked in Latin, and if anyone actually said yes, they had no props with which to bluff an actual merchant character. Yet there was no choice but to begin the long, nerve-wracking process of asking any townsperson they came across. Wiping the sweat from his heavily cloaked brow, Rex waved down a passing woman. "Good day, Domina. I am selling these fine Byzantine tapestries." Rex gestured vaguely in the direction of a stall featuring the finest straw mats for many meters. "Would you like to buy some?" The woman immediately passed Rex a scroll, asked him to send Praetor Marcianus her regards, and walked away. "Either this city is entirely populated by Roman spies, or you're the luckiest bastard this side of Aurelius," Eadfrith said. "Seems like a waste of effort for that, doesn't it?" He picked up an erotically decorated jar from an adjacent stall. "Let's at least buy this, eh?" Not looking to argue, Rex took his new jar of fertility and invisible cart of tapestries right back to camp. That whole mission was surprisingly easy. Seemed like it just all went smoothly, and we very quickly pick up some money and experience for our trouble. I also picked up a new companion while I was here in town. I suppose we'll talk more about her at another time. She is a healer, probably the best type of companion to have, since those skills are going to affect our whole party and increase our general survivability and ability to fight lots of times one after the other. I was now going to sail back to Cyrene, but I'm actually having to walk because my ship has disappeared. I'm not sure why, but I think it's something to do with this mysterious message that I got earlier on. Someone stole my ship, maybe? Something happened to it, and now it doesn't exist anymore, so we are going to have to walk. I could cheat myself another one, but since I felt bad for already cheating myself one, I'm not going to do that. I ended up in a quick battle where the Romans were fighting some of the Gaetulians. I thought I'd participate. Did a bit of a duel at the start and took out the enemy's commander. That's a good beginning. Then the enemy's mounted units followed me over to the line and got annihilated by ranged attacks. Finally, their infantry couldn't do much against us. There were only 30 troops on the enemy side in total. We had a vast numerical advantage, so not much really happened, and I didn't really participate much in the fight after that either. With a nice win under our belt and a bit of extra money, there was another battle nearby to jump into. This was another case where it was one Roman commander fighting against a load of bandits on his own, ahead of the rest of the army, so we're going to jump in and make another friend in the Legion by saving this Legatus' life. Very good work there. And finally, with that done, it's now time to move on. It's going to be a long and lonely road as we hoof it across the vast distances to Cyrene from here, slowed down by the fact that we have loads of prisoners in our party as well, who unfortunately I couldn't offload before now. So we will let Rex and company get on with that boring walk and rejoin the tale once it's done. Dividends from business investments and money from Roman coffers, earned or not, had made Rex into a rich man, able to staff his touring party with elite soldiers, traders and doctors. No one would dare challenge his right to freedom with such status on display. But all that seemed trivial in comparison to the weight on his mind. The knowledge that at least some of the Roman elite knew who he was and intended to keep him out of Rome, not just because of the law, but because of something more personal. It was time to get as far away from his fame as he could, but that was going to be harder than expected. That is all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to all of the OfficiallyDevin patrons. We'll be heading east, where we'll meet the man who owns Rex in the next episode of Rex Romanum.